My beloved child, there are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface, yet quietly reshape the path ahead. Last night appeared to be one of those simple evenings. A dinner table was prepared, gentle conversations began, and hearts carried unspoken questions. It looked like just another meeting, but what unfolded became something no one expected. Listen carefully, because every moment of this story leads to a beautiful realization that may touch your own heart. Imagine someone walking toward a place with mixed emotions, hoping to find clarity, wondering whether the future would finally reveal itself. Your soulmate carried those same quiet thoughts. They smiled politely, listened carefully, and tried to understand what life was placing before them. Across the table sat another person, and everything seemed perfectly normal. The conversation flowed gently, but deep inside, your soulmate felt that something was missing. It was not excitement, nor certainty. It was a quiet feeling that their heart was still waiting for something greater. As the evening continued, unexpected moments began to appear. A familiar melody played in the background. A passing conversation reminded them of an old dream they had almost forgotten. A single sentence spoken during the meal made them pause and reflect. Suddenly, they realized that some connections cannot be created simply because two people share the same place at the same time. Real connection grows from understanding, kindness, trust, and a feeling that cannot be forced. Stay with this story, because the most meaningful moment has not arrived yet. When the dinner came to an end, your soulmate stepped outside and looked at the night sky. The world around them was peaceful, yet their thoughts were louder than ever. Instead of feeling that everything had become clearer, they discovered an entirely different truth. They were no longer searching for the easiest answer. They were searching for the right one. On the journey home, little reminders appeared everywhere. A familiar fragrance in the air, a street they had not visited in years, and a memory that returned without warning. These small moments gently reminded them that some chapters are not meant to close until the right person enters at the right time. They realized that patience is never wasted when the destination truly matters. Something inside them changed forever that night. Not because of the dinner itself, but because of what they discovered within their own heart. They understood that meaningful relationships are built on authenticity, respect, and shared purpose rather than appearances or expectations. That realization became the unexpected event that transformed the entire evening. The story does not end here. In fact, this is only the beginning. What happened after that quiet walk home would surprise almost anyone, because the next chapter reveals a series of moments that seem too perfectly timed to ignore. Every step brought your soulmate closer to understanding why that dinner happened exactly the way it did. Stay until the next part, because the biggest turning point is still waiting, and every detail from this evening will soon connect in a way that no one could have predicted. A quiet morning arrived, but nothing inside your soulmate felt the same. The dinner from the previous evening was over, yet every word, every pause, and every unexpected feeling continued to echo in their heart. They could not explain why such an ordinary night had created such an extraordinary change. For the first time in a long while, they stopped asking, "Who should I choose?" and began asking, "What kind of future do I truly want?" As the day unfolded, small moments carried surprising meaning. A familiar place reminded them of dreams they had set aside. A simple smile from a stranger reminded them that kindness often speaks louder than perfect words. The more they reflected on the previous evening, the more they realized that the dinner had not brought the answer they expected. Instead, it revealed the questions they had never dared to ask themselves. Your soulmate understood something important. Genuine connection cannot be measured by appearances, impressive conversations, or carefully planned evenings. It grows through honesty, mutual respect, patience, and the feeling of being completely understood. That realization became more valuable than anything that happened across the dinner table. As the hours passed, unexpected memories returned one by one. They remembered moments when hope seemed distant, yet life somehow continued leading them forward. Looking back, they began to notice that every disappointment had quietly prepared them for greater wisdom. Every closed door had redirected them toward a path that felt more authentic than the one they had originally imagined. Then another unexpected moment arrived. While organizing their thoughts, they came across something that instantly captured their attention. It was not a grand sign or an unbelievable event. It was something simple that carried remarkable meaning. A forgotten note, a meaningful conversation remembered at exactly the right moment, or a promise they had once made to themselves suddenly became impossible to ignore. They smiled gently because they realized they had been searching outside for answers that had quietly existed within their own heart all along. The dinner no longer felt like the most important event. Instead, it became the beginning of a much deeper journey. Every conversation from that evening had encouraged your soulmate to become more honest with themselves. Every unanswered question had become an invitation to grow. Every unexpected feeling had become a reminder that meaningful relationships are never built in haste. With every passing hour, they became calmer. They no longer felt pressured to force certainty. They trusted that what is genuine develops naturally, one thoughtful step at a time. That peaceful confidence was something they had not experienced for a very long time. Yet the story was far from complete. Later that evening, another unexpected encounter took place. It lasted only a few moments, but those few moments changed everything they believed about timing. A familiar face appeared unexpectedly. A simple greeting became a meaningful conversation. Nothing dramatic happened, yet something inside your soulmate quietly shifted once again. They realized that life often prepares remarkable chapters through the smallest and most ordinary moments. Standing beneath the evening sky, they whispered a promise to themselves: from this day forward, they would no longer chase what felt uncertain. They would invest their heart where trust, kindness, and sincerity could grow naturally. That single promise became more powerful than any decision made during the dinner itself. Little did they know, someone else was also beginning to notice these quiet changes. A person connected to the next chapter of this story had already taken the first step, even though your soulmate had no idea it was happening. The pieces were slowly moving together, preparing a moment that would bring surprising clarity in the days ahead. The unexpected event from last night was only the first page. What comes next reveals why every conversation, every reflection, and every quiet decision mattered more than anyone realized. The next chapter uncovers a connection that neither your soulmate nor anyone around them could have predicted, and it begins with one simple choice made when nobody was watching. The following evening carried a feeling unlike any other. The city moved at its usual pace, yet your soulmate noticed details they had overlooked for years. The breeze felt calmer, familiar streets seemed brighter, and every passing moment whispered that life was quietly arranging something meaningful behind the scenes. The dinner from the previous night was no longer just a memory. It had become the turning point that changed the way they looked at everything ahead. As they walked through the park where they often gathered their thoughts, they remembered a simple question that had been asked during the dinner. It seemed ordinary at the time, but now it echoed with unexpected clarity: what makes someone truly feel at home? They had not answered immediately because the question reached deeper than they expected. Now, standing beneath the open sky, they finally understood. Home was never about a place. It was about the peace that another person could bring simply by being genuine. That realization transformed every memory of the dinner. The conversation had not been about choosing between people. It had been about discovering the qualities that truly mattered. Kindness, patience, understanding, trust. These were the foundations your soulmate wanted to build their future upon. Later that day, an unexpected invitation arrived from someone they had not spoken with for quite some time. There was nothing extraordinary about the message itself, yet it reminded them that life often reconnects people for meaningful reasons. Instead of rushing to conclusions, they chose to listen carefully, appreciating every conversation as an opportunity to learn more about themselves and the future they hoped to create. Hours passed, and another remarkable moment unfolded. While looking through old photographs, your soulmate found an image taken years earlier. In that photograph, they were smiling with complete confidence, believing that wonderful things were still ahead. Seeing that younger version of themselves awakened something powerful. They realized that hope had never truly disappeared. It had simply been waiting for the right moment to return. From that point onward, every decision felt lighter. They no longer measured life by disappointments or missed opportunities. Instead, they focused on becoming the kind of person who could recognize genuine connection when it arrived. They understood that lasting relationships are strengthened through honesty, compassion, and shared dreams rather than perfect timing alone. As evening approached, they paused once more beneath the quiet sky. The stars reminded them that some journeys require patience before their purpose becomes clear. The unexpected dinner had not provided every answer, but it had opened the door to a new perspective. Sometimes the greatest surprise is not meeting someone new. Sometimes it is discovering a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Little did your soulmate know that another chapter was already unfolding. Someone else had begun to notice the quiet confidence growing within them. Their calmness, their kindness, and their renewed hope were becoming impossible to overlook. A future conversation, completely unplanned, was about to bring two paths closer together in a way that neither of them could have imagined. The story is moving toward its most meaningful moment. Every choice made after that unforgettable dinner is leading toward a meeting that will reveal why nothing happened by chance. The answers have been quietly taking shape all along, and the next chapter will finally begin connecting every piece of this remarkable journey. Days passed, yet the memory of that unexpected dinner continued to shape every choice your soulmate made. What once seemed like an ordinary evening had quietly become the beginning of an extraordinary chapter. Instead of searching for instant answers, they began paying attention to the small moments that often reveal the greatest truths. One afternoon, while walking through a familiar street, they noticed something they had overlooked countless times before. A quiet cafe filled with people laughing, sharing stories, and creating memories reminded them that meaningful relationships are built one conversation at a time. They smiled, realizing that lasting happiness is rarely found in dramatic moments. More often, it grows from simple acts of kindness, patience, and understanding. That realization inspired them to make a promise to themselves. They would no longer allow fear or uncertainty to guide their future. They would choose openness over hesitation, gratitude over doubt, and hope over worry. It was a quiet promise, spoken only in their heart, yet it carried the strength to transform everything that followed. Later that evening, an unexpected conversation began. It was not planned, and it did not arrive with grand announcements. It started with a simple greeting, followed by genuine curiosity and effortless understanding. Every word felt natural, as though both people had been preparing for this moment without realizing it. For the first time since that memorable dinner, your soulmate felt completely present, no longer comparing the past with the future but simply appreciating the beauty of the moment before them. As the conversation continued, they recognized something remarkable. The unexpected dinner had not been the destination. It had been the lesson that prepared them for this new beginning. Every question, every reflection, and every quiet realization had strengthened their ability to recognize authenticity when it finally appeared. Looking back, they understood that nothing had been wasted. Even moments of uncertainty had quietly contributed to personal growth. Every unexpected twist had gently redirected them toward a future that felt more genuine than anything they had imagined before. Standing beneath another peaceful evening sky, your soulmate felt a sense of calm unlike anything they had experienced in years. They no longer wondered whether life was working against them. Instead, they realized that every experience had been helping them become ready for the relationships and opportunities that truly belonged in their life. The dinner from that unforgettable night was no longer remembered as a confusing event. It became the story they would one day tell with gratitude, because it marked the exact moment they stopped chasing certainty and started embracing authenticity. That single change opened the door to possibilities they could never have planned. The journey is almost complete, but one final chapter remains. In that chapter, every unanswered question finds its place, every meaningful moment connects, and the quiet transformation that began with one unexpected dinner reaches its beautiful conclusion. What seemed like an ordinary evening will finally reveal why it became one of the most important moments in your soulmate story. The final chapter began with a sunrise unlike any other. The same streets, the same sky, and the same familiar world surrounded your soulmate, yet everything felt different. It was not because life had suddenly become perfect. It was because their perspective had changed. The unexpected dinner from that memorable night had quietly become the beginning of a journey that transformed the way they understood love, hope, and themselves. As they reflected on everything that had happened, every conversation started to make sense. The dinner had not been a test of compatibility or a moment of disappointment. It had been an invitation to discover what truly mattered. Every unexpected pause, every thoughtful silence, and every honest reflection had gently guided them toward greater clarity. Then came the moment that completed the story. During an ordinary afternoon, your soulmate crossed paths with someone who noticed the quiet confidence they now carried. The conversation began naturally, free from expectations or pressure. There were no perfect speeches or dramatic promises. Instead, there was genuine curiosity, warm laughter, and a feeling of comfort that could not be explained with words alone. For the first time in a long while, your soulmate realized they were not trying to impress anyone. They were simply being themselves. That authenticity created a connection stronger than anything they had experienced before. It reminded them that meaningful relationships are built through trust, patience, kindness, and shared values rather than perfect timing or grand gestures. Looking back at the dinner that started it all, they smiled with gratitude. What once seemed confusing had become one of life's greatest lessons. Sometimes an unexpected evening does not change your destination directly. Instead, it changes the person who continues the journey. And when that transformation happens, every future step begins to feel lighter, wiser, and more meaningful. As the days turned into weeks, your soulmate noticed something remarkable. Peace had replaced uncertainty. Confidence had replaced hesitation. Hope had replaced fear. The answers they had searched for outside themselves had quietly grown within their own heart all along. They understood that every chapter of life has a purpose. Some chapters teach patience. Others teach courage. And a few unforgettable moments, like that unexpected dinner, teach us how to recognize genuine connection when it finally appears. The story ends with a simple but lasting truth: the most meaningful relationships are not built in a single evening. They grow through honesty, respect, compassion, and the willingness to become the best version of yourself. The unexpected event was never about one dinner alone. It was about discovering that the right future begins when you stop forcing answers and start embracing growth. As your soulmate continued walking toward tomorrow with renewed confidence, they carried no regrets from that unforgettable night. Instead, they carried wisdom, gratitude, and quiet optimism for everything still waiting ahead. And perhaps that was the greatest surprise of all. Not that one dinner changed everything overnight, but that it inspired a lasting transformation that would shape every meaningful chapter yet to come. The journey may have reached its conclusion, but its message remains timeless. Every unexpected moment has the potential to become the beginning of something beautiful when it is met with an open heart, patience, and hope. Time continued to move forward, but the lesson from that unforgettable dinner never faded. Whenever your soulmate thought back to that evening, they no longer remembered uncertainty first. They remembered the quiet moment when everything inside them began to change. That single experience became the foundation for a future built on wisdom instead of impulse. One peaceful afternoon, they found themselves returning to the same neighborhood where the dinner had taken place. The restaurant looked exactly the same, yet it felt completely different. They smiled as they realized that places do not carry meaning on their own. It is the growth we experience within them that transforms ordinary locations into unforgettable landmarks of our lives. They chose to sit nearby for a few minutes, simply observing the people around them. Families shared meals, friends laughed together, and couples enjoyed simple conversations. Watching those everyday moments reminded your soulmate that happiness rarely arrives through dramatic events. It is created through consistent kindness, sincere conversations, and the willingness to appreciate the people who truly value one another. As they stood to leave, something unexpected happened. A familiar voice greeted them warmly. It was someone they had met only briefly before, yet the conversation flowed as though they had known each other for years. There was no pressure to impress, no fear of saying the wrong thing, only genuine curiosity and mutual respect. For your soulmate, that effortless comfort. Became another reminder that meaningful connections often begin in the most ordinary moments. Walking home beneath the evening sky, they reflected on everything life had taught them. They understood that patience had never delayed their future. Instead, it had protected it. Every experience, every conversation, and every unexpected turn had quietly prepared them to recognize authenticity when it finally appeared. The memory of the dinner no longer represented unanswered questions. Instead, it symbolized courage, the courage to let go of expectations that no longer served them and to welcome new possibilities with an open heart. That quiet courage became their greatest strength. In the weeks that followed, life continued to offer gentle reminders that they were moving in the right direction. Small acts of kindness appeared at exactly the right moments. Conversations brought encouragement when they needed it most. Opportunities arrived naturally, without being forced. For the first time in a long while, they trusted the pace of their own journey. Looking back, your soulmate realized that the most unexpected part of the dinner was not who attended it or what was said. The true surprise was discovering a deeper understanding of themselves. That inner transformation changed every decision they made afterward and opened the door to relationships built on honesty, trust, and genuine care. As another sunset painted the sky with warm colors, they smiled quietly, knowing that the future no longer felt uncertain. It felt welcoming. Every chapter ahead carried the promise of new experiences, meaningful conversations, and opportunities to build lasting memories with people who appreciated them for exactly who they were. And so the story that began with one unexpected dinner became much more than a single evening. It became a reminder that life's greatest turning points are often gentle rather than dramatic. They arrive through quiet realizations, thoughtful choices, and the courage to believe that the best chapters are still waiting to be written.